Why do you think Western medicine allows the we allow?
We don't get a choice in what the FDA says. LDL cholesterol recommendation was 140. Now it's 100. And there's a push to make it 80.
What's the
because
motivation?
every time you drop it 20 points, the net to catch more people on your statin drugs gets bigger. Taking a statin for primary prevention is useless.
There's cancer medicine curing cancer in other countries. And the FDA says, who the hell are they?
The guy who was in charge of Johnson & Johnson for the FDA, when he retired, he's working for Johnson & Johnson making 7 figures a year. You don't think that there was a little quid pro quo going on? Are there doctors prescribing growth hormone for anti-aging? Yes. Are they breaking the law? Absolutely.
As a doctor, are you afraid to say this?
Well,
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio. Folks, I brought someone for you, a real treat, Dr. John Pierce in the house. What's happening?
What's happening, brother?
Folks, as you know, I believe I'd like to live forever. So I went out and found the guy that's teaching people how to be, let's say longevity. The actual word is his clinic is Ageless Forever. If you want to find him on social media, at Ageless Forever LV for Las Vegas. Dr. John Pierce has been in medical practice forever. You're the medical director for Anti-Aging and Wellness Center, board certified in emergency medicine, anti-aging and regenerative medicine, military veteran turned controversial hormone therapy pioneer who serves as a tactical physician with the Las Vegas SWAT team. And you went basically from jumping out of airplanes in Panama to treating UFC fighters, running hormone clinic, and serving on the SWAT team. So walk me through that journey. What made you pivot into anti-aging medicine, and how do you balance everything?
Man, it's a long story, but bottom line is when I decided to go to medical school, I knew that this was an area I wanted to go into. Wellness, at the time it was called anti-aging. I don't know that I like that term because we're not stopping the aging process. We're trying to mitigate it per se. I think of it as wellness. And what I do is an integrative wellness. So kind of taking what we have in traditional Western medicine, combining that with some Eastern medicine or nutritional supplementation, things like that. So instead of, let's say I always use the example if your cholesterol is high, conventional medicine, here's your statin, go home. I don't do that. I have a nutrition person working with me. We talk about your nutrition, your exercise. I have their supplements depending on, kind of where your levels are at that we might recommend initially. Maybe not. Maybe we just see what we can get with diet and exercise. And I find one of the best things to lower cholesterol is cardiovascular exercise. And everyone, unless you're a runner, most people hate doing cardio, right? I'm one of them. I despised it even all my years in the military. And you get up, 0, 500 and you're out running and doing all that crazy horse shit. But it's good for you, right?
Well, is it?
It is. Anyways.
See, this is the part every time I have a doctor on, I always ask, why can't you guys agree? Because I'll find 10 doctors that say it's not good for you, and I'll find 10 doctors that say it is good for you. And I'm like, man, can somebody figure out whether it's good or not? Because guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to lean towards the one I like the best, which is it's not good for you. So I'm like, yeah, I knew it. So screw that. When in reality, we come to find out, no, it's actually very good for you. And these doctors are incorrect, which tells you doctors aren't always correct.
Oh, no. I mean, in no field that you kind of subdivide into anybody, there's always going to be good and bad, right? Yeah, but are all podcasters equally the same?
No. But
right?
But the truth's the truth.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like cardio is either good for you or it's not. Or what I would acquiesce to is cardio is good for some, but not all. Why? Well, dude, that may be the truth too, because depends on who you are. What's going on with your body? Because everybody's different.
This is true. Everybody's different. But is cardiovascular exercise good for you? I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody to say that it's not. Now, maybe the intensity, the duration, things that could be argued, but our bodies are designed to move. So, if you're sedentary, you're not healthy. You're waiting to die.
You're dying.
I watched my father do it, and that was one of my motivations to not be like that.
You ever see the older folks that are like barely able to walk, like they get up from the table and they're like all slow and crooked? And the other day I was with my kids, and obviously they're younger, and an old dude stood up and he could barely walk. And I said, do you know why he walks like that? And they said, why? And I said, because he stopped walking. Like that, sedentary behavior is like literally locking up your bones, locking up your joints,
100%,
emaciating your muscles. You're deteriorating.
Yes.
You got to move.
Yeah.
So why do you think Western medicine allows the shit we allow?
I don't know that we have a choice in it.
What do you mean?
To allow the stuff that we allow, what is medicine allow? All the food preservatives and the stuff that comes in bags, boxes with barcodes. That's not a thing for medicine. We don't get a choice in what the FDA says. And
well, if I'm a doctor and I know that eating that shit will kill you,
then you can tell your patients about it. But
I know, but rather than treating my patients every time they're dying because of this food, I would go lobby that the food stops having the shit in there. Like, cure the problem, not the symptom. The symptom is what doctors are helping with. I think the doctors, because everyone trusts doctors, I think the doctors, the good ones anyway, need to band together and go be the voice. Because, dude, someone's got to tell the government, what the hell are you doing? You're allowing shit and food that other countries won't even allow. You're doing this, and we're doctors, so we see the result of it. Stop putting the shit in the food. Now, that's not a doctor serving a patient. That's a doctor saving humanity. Why don't doctors get together and go raise some hell?
It's a great question. I don't have an answer for it outside of the fact that getting doctors together is like herding cats.
Yeah, but why don't you be the doctor that takes that flag up the frickin' mountain for us? I mean, you're on the SWAT team, dude. You like saving people. Like, to me, it's like, wait a minute. I can keep helping these patients that are coming in with all these problems, or I can go stop the bullshit that's causing all the problems. Now, that's not a doctor. To what you're saying, that is not a doctor's job. But that's my point. Like, doctors are so trusted. How come they don't all band together? Because there's a bunch of them like you that are up about wellness and health. That's why you said we mix Eastern medicine. Why would you mix Eastern medicine? Well, because it works better. It's better. It's
an integrative approach. There's no one right way to do anything.
Well, like take cholesterol. They have studies out now that say it's not supposed to be as low as everyone said it's supposed to be. And then if you go down rabbit holes, well, why are they saying that it needs to be so low? To sell the shit that makes it low. And it's like, wait a minute. Now, again, if I'm a doctor and I discover that, and I discover it with science, now it's not a hypothesis, it's a damn fact. I've studied this. When you do that, you do that. Okay, I would say, wait a minute. The problem is the motivation here. We're trying to tell people bullshit so they buy our bullshit. Like, that's the problem, if you ask me.
I think it's multifaceted. I don't disagree with what you're saying, because when I first came into medicine, which wasn't that long ago, I mean, it was in the late 90s, the LDL cholesterol recommendation was 140. And then at some point in time, it went to 120. And then now it's 100. And there's a push to make it 80.
See, now why?
Right?
Why?
Because
what's the motivation?
Every time you drop it 20 points, the net to catch more people on your statin drugs gets bigger, right?
But if that's the motivation, but not the truth.
That seems to, right? So now what do they say? Well, we're lowering risk of heart disease. Well, not according to the literature that I've read, because the literature that I've read, which is the studies, right, shows that taking a statin for primary prevention is useless for the most part. It does not prevent cardiac death. You have to treat, I think it's 104 patients for 5 years with a statin to reduce the risk of one non-fatal heart attack. So how much money is that, right? And if you lower it down to one, you lower it down 20 more points, what do those numbers turn into? I don't know. The study, they'll have to restudy it. But that is a problem, in my opinion. And so I agree with what you're saying. I think the other side of that is medicine is trying to treat the masses and making recommendations, not for individuals, but for the masses. And so, isn't
that counterintuitive though? Because the masses, they pretend everybody's the same.
Yes, right. And that's how the studies are done, and so it doesn't look at an individualistic approach. And so that's kind of my forte in medicine, is I treat each person as an individual, and let's do what's right for that individual.
Which is why your results are so dramatic.
It seemed to be. Right. So, and patients like that. And they like, when they come in the office and we talk, I'm directing my attention to them and their physiology and the labs that we have and the things that we've tried. And if we try what's worked for Brad, right, on Joe, and it doesn't work for Joe, then it's my job is to try to figure out another way.
Yeah. Well,
right?
What's Joe's formula?
100%.
Because microbiome, it's all different.
That is such a relatively new field to medicine. Now, the naturopathic physicians, I went to one of their conferences one time and I was lost. We talked about poop for 2 days and I didn't know shit about shit. Right? I had no idea. And I was like, they were using terms like common language, like you and I are talking now. And I was just lost. And so they had a really good understanding of the microbiome. And this was 15 years ago. Right. And their understanding has to have improved. Right. And my knowledge in that is still very basic, but it makes sense if you eat whole foods and you're not eating processed foods. That's going to help your microbiome. If you don't take an antibiotic anytime you fart crooked, right? In today's world, people watch all these medical shows, or they'll have an idea and they'll come into the doctor and they got a cold and they're like, I need an antibiotic. You're like, no, I don't want to give it to you.
When in reality, you need a biotic.
Yeah. But it's a viral infection. Your body will take care of it itself. Customer service stuff, and you don't think that exists in medicine, but it does, especially like in emergency rooms. There's something called the Press-Ganey score that these emergency physicians are kind of held by. And if you or your group doesn't do well in this Press-Ganey score, which is basically customer service, you can lose your contract. You can lose your job. And so when they call that person, because they call 10% of the patients and they call and say, well, what was your experience? 1 out of 4, right? And they go, well, I went there and the doctor didn't give me anything. He just told me that I'll get better. I give him a 2 because I didn't get the antibiotic. And when I was watching the episode of ER, they gave him an antibiotic and I need that, right? And you're like, I did good medicine, and you document, you do all the stuff, right? But then they're coming down on you because, well, the patient said you didn't give them what they wanted. It's like,
who can fire the doctor?
In emergency medicine, those groups used to be, and I don't know because I haven't been in the ER in some years, they're independent, right? So the hospital has a contract with that ER group. That hospital can drop that contract and bring in another ER group if things are that bad. The guy who runs that ER group, because that's his business, if you're the one who's getting lower Press-Ganey scores, even if you're doing everything right, they go, well, we're going to get rid of you so they can fire you.
Well, we could go down that rabbit hole. I want to talk about wellness, my friend, because
let's talk about that.
I get a lot of entrepreneurs listening to the show, a lot of people all over, all kinds. And the older I get, the more important longevity. The word longevity to me is better than 6-pack. Everybody wants a 6-pack. Dude, I'd rather be a little chunky and live till 100 with quality of life than have a 6-pack and live to 70. Personally.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have a 6-pack till I'm 100 if that's the way to do it. So like, what is the way to live forever? How do we become ageless forever?
I think it's multifaceted, but it starts off with a good foundation. Diet, exercise, sleep. You don't need a doctor for that. You don't.
Well, let's go with sleep for a moment. Because I've always told people like that's my worst area.
It's the bee in the bonnet for a lot of people.
Dude, my body does great with 5-6 hours.
Okay.
Now people are like, well, you need 8. It's like, do I need 8 or do we need 8? Because again, who says everybody needs 8? They. Well, who the fuck are they? Because dude, I wake up after 5-6 hours of sleep, my eyes open. I've kind of trained my brain to be extremely excited the minute I open my eyes because I get another day. Like I've literally convinced myself that the greatest gift of all
Is waking up.
And when I wake up, I literally feel whatever's chemical, is adrenaline, I don't know, serotonin, I don't know, but
It's your cortisol.
I feel it, dude. I'm like, and it
ready
gives
to
me
go.
a surge of energy. I bounce out of bed, ready for the day, thankful as hell, grateful as hell. And then I look for a bottle of water. Why? Well, because, and I don't know if this is true, I believe we're mostly water. And so I need water to just like a car needs gas. So I drink a bottle of water, minimum, first. And for some reason, every time I get done with the water, I feel refreshed.
Even better.
Even better.
Yeah, because you were dehydrated for those 5-6 hours that you were sleeping.
Yeah. So these are morning habits of mine that in my mind, man, this is going to help me.
Yeah. But to your point, the 8 hours is based off of a study that was done on however many people. And they said, oh, well, this is the number that looks to be the best. So for the masses, let's recommend 8 hours. Are there some people that do better with 10? Are there some people that do better with 6? Yes. But kind of the bell curve, the recommendation is 8 hours.
So if someone's listening, how do they know? Is it the way they feel?
I think it's exactly what you just said. How do you feel? Now, I have a patient who has a very rare disease per se. He sleeps 1 hour. That's it. And he's super amazing. And he's super successful. I mean, he's
How old is he?
I'm going to say he's late 50s, early 60.
Seemingly healthy?
Very healthy.
See, there you go.
And
that's my point.
But he has a rare issue, right? But to your point, yes, he only needs 1 hour. He's an outlier. How can you tell him lay in bed another 7 hours? It's good for you. It's not, and the things this guy's accomplished. I mean, he's written his own book. They had a movie on him. They don't talk about his sleep issue in the movie, but
but imagine how much more time you'd have if you only slept 1 hour.
Yeah.
And if I slept 1 hour, I'd wake up feeling the same. I would only sleep an hour. I wouldn't go, oh, I got to keep sleeping, which is the only reason I don't try to get 8 hours. I think my body is miraculous. I think life is miraculous.
100%.
So to me, it's like, I think if my body wanted more sleep, needed more sleep to repair and heal and do whatever it needs to do, I think it's naturally going to sleep. Like I'm not being woken up. I go to sleep with no alarm. I wake up with no alarm. So I think when my body goes bink, it means had enough, brother. Yeah. Let's roll.
100%.
Yeah. So if I could do that with an hour, I'd get up.
Right. There's not enough hours in the day. For him, I think there might be.
Yeah, what an
Maybe
advantage,
not,
though. He gets 7 hours a day, 30 days a month, roughly. That's 210 extra hours
per month.
That's
times
almost
12.
Yeah, so he's getting
2,100.
He's getting 3, 4, 5,
about 2,500 hours a year, roughly.
Yeah.
Right?
So
pretty impressive, right?
Me and your year, he gets another 3 months on top of it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I know he utilizes it all, right?
So sleep. If somebody's tired when they wake up, should they go back to sleep?
I mean, if you can, but you know what might be even better? NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. Right? It's a little meditation you can do. They have 10, 15, 20 minutes, and they've been proven in the medical literature to improve your energy almost like you had that additional sleep.
Is it like naps?
No, it's a focused meditation. I use it when I wake up. If I can't go back to sleep, I use it. I've done it enough that I can do it in my head. I don't need an app to play, but there's a plenty of apps out there. But if you put in NSDR, you can play it while you're trying to go back to sleep, and you will probably be asleep within 5 minutes. So instead of rolling around in bed and, because why do we do that? Because our brain starts racing and you start thinking, I can't sleep. You become anxious. And then it puts you in a fight or flight, not a rest and relax.
And does that release cortisol?
I don't know.
Because cortisol is not good, correct?
No, there's nothing that's not good or good in that. We need it. We need cortisol, right? It's just excess cortisol. So in the morning, that's what wakes us up is that cortisol, right?
Well, I was told if I wake up and do my normal cup of coffee, you're releasing cortisol with coffee. You don't want cortisol in the morning. So go out and get the sun in your face and do a 20-minute walk.
But when you wake up, that's what wakes you up is that cortisol level. Getting that sun in your eyes is kind of now telling the brain that cortisol level can come down, and it's also shutting off melatonin. And so then the reverse is almost true at nighttime when you watch the sun go down, kind of gets the brain ready for sleep. So in a perfect world, if we didn't have, jobs and all the things that we have, we would get up with the sun and go to bed with the sun. But, what's going to happen in the next couple months? The sun's going down at 4:00. We're going to do a time change. And then at 4:00, well, I'm still in my office. I'm driving home in the dark. Right. And so our days get shorter, and then, in the summertime, they're longer. So in society, it's hard for us to kind of follow that. But in a perfect world, that would be the way to do it.
Have you ever wondered why they do that?
What, the time change?
Yeah.
Well, it was for farmers back in the day. We're not farming anymore.
But why don't we update?
Well, it's a great question. Why don't we?
I think it was Arizona that said,
they don't.
I ain't playing that game.
Yeah. It got me in trouble one time because I did my residency in Arizona and I was moonlighting here in Nevada, and I was driving back to make my shift for residency, and I was an hour late, and I was like, oh shit, and they were like, okay, well, we'll let this one slide. Don't let it happen again. But yeah, because I didn't take that into account. But yeah, Arizona doesn't do the time change. I don't see why we need to do it. There are some studies on that, and it shows that when they do the time change, there's more coronary artery, or actually myocardial infarctions during the time change than any other time.
Because more stress? What?
I guess,
How big of a killer is stress? Because, you're running a business, you can't pay your bills, you got payroll coming up. A lot of these entrepreneurs, they live with stress so much they don't even realize they're stressing. How dangerous is stress?
Well, you have to realize that there's good stress and bad stress, right? When you go to the gym, that's good stress, right? But if you overdo it, it could be bad stress. Same thing, right? So I guess the poison is in the dose. So the hard part in medicine is we know that stress, negative stress, distress can be harmful to us. The problem is we can't measure it. So did you have a teaspoon of stress, a tablespoon of stress, a cup of stress, a gallon of stress? We don't know.
How do you feel?
And then, right, how do you process that? And I think that's where it is. And so many of us don't take time to be mindful, don't meditate, don't, kind of work on down regulating the stress. What do? We come from the stressful environment at work. If you go home and the relationship's not good, there's stress there. And then we try to disconnect. But disconnect is not dealing with the stress. How do we disconnect? We get on a computer, we get on our phone, we watch a television show. Well, what if you like an action movie? Your brain doesn't know when you're watching that action movie that that's not reality, that it's just there for entertainment. And have you ever been or watch a hockey game or been to the hockey games here? When you leave, if it was a great game, you're laying in bed thinking of you almost like you played. And there were times that I would go to the Knights games and I feel, why the hell is my heart rate up and my blood? I'm not down there on the ice. These guys are out there, busting their chops, right? I would venture to say that my stress level watching the game was worse than theirs because they're out there playing and blowing off their stress by moving. And I'm just sitting up in the stands getting anxious over something that has no impact on my life, right? It's just that we're, kind of fans.
Have you ever heard of an incident where people die in their dream and it causes real life death?
Well, how do we know?
Yeah, I guess we wouldn't. Because sometimes in my dreams, I'm like scared or heart racing, and I wake up and my heart's racing.
Of course.
So I'm like thinking like, damn, dude, like, is that why people die in their sleep? Because they freaking have a heart attack because of something that they've hallucinated or dreamt?
So, I mean, now you're getting into, a lot of, I don't even know what the word is, but it's kind of the, people say the woo-woo medicine. But I mean, how do we know that what we're doing right now is not a dream? This isn't some
Matrix
VR game that, we just don't know, right?
Well, if it is, it's very good.
Yeah, right? Okay, but in your dreams, you can touch your skin, you're driving a car, all the sensations are there. You touch something that's not there, you're in your bed, but you're touching something, it's there, right? I remember having dreams that I was back in the military doing shit I never did in the military, in firefights, and watching people shoot at me and I'm doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing and I'm shooting at them and I can watch the bullet go right at them and just go right around them. I'm like, and then you wake up in a panic, right? Or, I think everybody's had that dream that they were running from somebody and they're running on top of a crust of snow and then all of a sudden your feet start going through and then you can't pick your feet up.
Yeah, or something's prohibiting you from running faster.
Right.
Escaping this danger.
100%.
I like looking into what do dreams mean, but again, it's all hypothetical.
Oh, absolutely. But kind of to your point, like, if you die in your dream, you die in reality. I don't know. I never died in my dream. So
I've never died in my dream, but I've been scared in my dream and I wake up scared.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're
always curious. Like if someone shot me in my dream and killed me, would I be dead?
Well, you wouldn't be dead from a gunshot wound.
If a tree falls in the forest and you're not there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Does it make a difference?
Well, does it make a sound?
Does it make a difference? It's right. If you, it doesn't make a difference.
Does it make a sound?
Does it, the tree is just treeing.
I know, but I have a belief on that because if you put a tape recorder and you're not there and the tree falls and then you listen to the recording, did it make a sound? The answer would be yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then it does make a sound whether you're there listening to the sound or not, because the wind still moves, the branches still crack. So when people say, does it make a sound? Well, of course it makes a sound. They say, well, how do you know? Well, put a tape recorder.
Yeah, but
if there's no one there to hear it, if there's no tape recording device, does it make a sound? And then that's a deep question, because if there's no reception of the sound, it was only sound waves, because our ears perceive sound.
Correct.
From a sound wave, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any sound without the receptacle?
I mean,
the answer would be no, there's sound waves, and some of them you can't hear.
It's true.
So that it would make a sound.
What about quantum mechanics?
I believe in quantum physics.
The particle theories, right? So particle changes once it's observed. So kind of, right? So it goes right through a pinhole and hits a pinhole when it's not observed, and when it's observed, it scatters. And if you put it in your situation, if you put a camera on it, it still scatters as though it's being observed. How do we explain that? Well, I'm sure that there are minds out there that can explain that. Not mine, right? But that kind of goes to your theory of, did it make a sound? If it's being observed, maybe there's a sound. Is that sound wave changed without the observation? Rhetorical question. I don't know. Right? These are questions of quantum mechanics.
That's why anyone who doesn't think there was a creator has to be just crazy. Because I mean, like even a dream, you dream. You can anticipate. You can envision. If I say, think of a purple gorilla dancing on a Rolls Royce, everyone can see it, even though it's not even real.
100%.
So like, what allows our brain to do that? The most advanced computer ever in the history of the world.
It has so many games it can play.
And it just
and we know nothing about it. We know so little about it. You know?
Why do you think that is? How come do you think medicine hasn't been able to crack some codes? Like, we've been doing cancer research forever.
Huh?
Forever.
Yeah.
Can't you figure that shit out? Like, what's so hard to figure out?
I'm not a cancer researcher, so I don't have the answer to that. But
Like, you can't kill it. You can't stop it. It just keeps coming back to life. Like, none of it makes sense to me. That's why when it doesn't make sense and you can't control it, I just go, let's be happy we got the day. Let's enjoy our life, because you might be the healthiest person on the planet. You're still dead tomorrow, brother.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
At the end of the day.
No. At the end of the day, we're all finite beings.
So why,
as far as we know.
So why should people worry about being ageless forever?
It's a great question. And my answer is because we don't know. You don't have an expiration date written on you anywhere, do you?
Nope.
I don't. Right. So because I don't have that, I want to enjoy my life for as long as I possibly can. And to do that, I want to be as healthy as I can. When I trained this morning, I'm not training for today. I'm training for 10 years from now for what I want to do. What are the things that my wife and I want to be able to do? And when I train 10 years from now, I'm training for the next 10 years. Because we never know when our marginal decade is. And Peter Attia kind of named it the marginal decade, which is our last 10 years of life. We don't know when that is.
Could be
right now. I could be in it. Absolutely. But if we kind of use the definition of the marginal decade being the last 10 years of your natural life, barring trauma, right? Then you want to be as healthy as you possibly can be.
That's why I do it. Quality.
My mom lived to be 97 and just what is it, March, April, May, June, 3 months short of 98. And she had an amazing life, did everything that she wanted to. And she was diagnosed with lung cancer in February and was dead in March. And prior to that, she was still doing all the things she wanted. And she just told me, I'm having a hard time breathing. Okay. And I knew years ago, 10 years before that there was something going on. And, that everybody was saying, well, should you get a CT scan? And I told my mom, I said, listen, you're 88 or not, close to 90 years old. You've survived tuberculosis. She was put into a sanitarium as a child. You had breast cancer. You had parotid cancer. You smoked until you were getting ready to be pregnant for me to 44 from whatever age she started, right? So could this be a lung cancer? Could it be recurrence from your breast cancer? Could it be lung cancer? Could it be? And the answer is yes, it could be. And at your age, are you willing to go through radiation, chemo, surgery, those types of things? And she's like, no. I said, beautiful. Then let's not get the scan. Because all it's going to do is give you an answer, and now you're going to ruminate on that, and then that has a negative effect. So if we just live your life, enjoy it as much as you can, and let's just do that. And we agreed. It was a discussion my mom and I had, and that's what she did. And she was great up until she was almost 98. Like I said, after the diagnosis, it was literally 2 to 3 weeks, and she was gone. She and I think she had a come to Jesus meeting with herself and said, okay, I'm done. I'll never forget it. I walked in her room and she was on hospice, and I was on the phone with my sister, and she woke up and she looked at me. She goes, am I still here? And I was like, yeah, you're still here, Mom. She goes, all right, and within a few days she was gone. Right. That's beautiful.
That's one thing I hope. I just hope if I go, well, not if I go, I hope when I go quick.
Yeah. So what can we do to put the odds in our favor? Because that's all we can do is put the odds in our favor. Good diet, exercise, good sleep. Keep your foundation. Then you can look at, do I need to have any nutritional supplementation? Most people, a lot of people do. Looking at lab work, right? So the lab work will give us some insight to that.
And your blood work, your blood panels that you do, I also want to talk about that, because everybody should consider either flying to Vegas or arranging a blood panel through Ageless Forever, because it's beyond a normal blood panel.
It's pretty extensive. I've seen more extensive panels out there, but dollar for dollar, it holds up. And then if I feel that there's more that needs to be done, then we can go down those roads.
Based on the first one?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I always hate those because, man, like you said, you figure it out. Now you got your answer. Well, now you're negatively impacted by the news, and now you're worried and the stress. And next thing you know, you deteriorate and die. Where if you didn't even know, you would have died anyway, but you would have been happy the whole time.
You know, there's different ways to look at it.
My stomach drops when the doctor says, well, I got your blood work back. You want to jump on a call and talk about it? And I'm like, well, what's it say? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. And I'm like, dude, is it fucking good or bad? Like I start to panic. And he's like, no, everything's fine. I just want to walk through the results.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, shit, dude, don't say it like that.
Maybe work on the bedside manner a little bit. But, you know, kind of to your point, I think everybody has a little bit of anxiety. But to that point as well, if you're doing the right things and you know you're doing overall the right things, you're putting the odds in your favor that blood work is probably going to look pretty good. And it's like I'll tell patients a lot of times when I first see somebody, I'm like Michelangelo with the hammer and chisel, chiseling away at the beginning of the art project, of the sculpture. And then after a year or so, now I'm out there with a watchmaker or, toolkit, just fine tuning some things. That's it.
What's your thoughts on colonoscopies?
I think they're life-saving, right?
Are they?
Yeah, but there's,
because I read one the other day. The guy said, he's a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He said, the chances of you having it is no greater than, in other words, what he was saying is it's not worth it because you could you could hurt yourself more checking.
I understand what you're saying.
Than the likelihood of having it. So basically, are you willing to risk that to find out if you have that when the likelihood of you having that is less than the likelihood of you getting damaged by that? And I'm like, nope.
Right.
Plus, I don't want a camera in my ass. So guess what? I go, oh, I don't need those.
So there's alternatives. But so if you have a strong family history of colon cancer, I would say colonoscopy, or even better.
But what if you don't know your family?
That's a great question, right? So in a better exam, in my opinion, I'm not a gastroenterologist, but I've listened to a couple talk about it, is a flexible sigmoidoscopy. They don't go as far. The colonoscopy, when they end up going further, they increase the risk of a bowel perforation, right? And now you have to have surgery to fix that. Right?
Die.
Or die, right? Well, but it would be a miserable death because it'd be a slow septic
I know.
death.
And
right?
People don't realize because like nobody dies from a colonoscopy. That's because they didn't die from it. They died from the result of the perforated
if they got
bowel.
One would think that a doctor would know that they perf the bowel.
But it happens all the time, doesn't it?
I mean, I have a friend and colleague that I'll never forget. We were in the trauma center when I was training, and a gastroenterologist came in and started to give him a hard time for doing colonoscopies. And he's a surgeon. And he goes, well, wait a minute. Well, what the fuck are you talking about? And the guy's like, well, that's my area especially. He goes, okay, great. So if I do the colonoscopy and I perf the bowel, I can fix it. When you perf the bowel, what the fuck do you do? And the guy's like, you call me. So he goes, I'll make the argument that you shouldn't be doing the colonoscopy because you can't fix your fucking problem, but I can. And I was like, and I learned a lesson there. I don't do anything with anybody unless if there's a bad outcome, I can fix the issue. Right. So, I had people coming to me and when I first started doing this going, hey, can we do penile injections for erectile dysfunction? I said, I don't know how to fix a priapism. If they get a priapism.
What's that?
The erection that lasts for more than 4 hours.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, you'd like it to be, but if
I know how
it's there for a long time.
You know how to fix them?
Well, in a real priapism, your fix doesn't work.
What do you mean? How do you know what my fix is?
Your fix was ejaculation probably, right?
Yeah, my fix is use it.
Yeah, right.
You use it long enough.
But in those guys, and those folks that get a priapism, they can use it and it doesn't go down. And if you've never seen the difference between a true erection and a priapism, the erectile tissue of the penis, the shaft is hard, but the head of the penis is very soft, right? And what ends up happening is that blood can clot in there. And then if that happens, you can infarct your penis and lose it, right? So
has that happened to people?
yeah.
Are there men walking around with
probably not many, but it's happened.
Penises?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And it's a side effect of this medication. Rare. But to my point, I wouldn't give anybody that medication because if they got the priapism, I can't fix it. And then I got to send them to a urologist, and the urologist, they're not on call generally. There's only 2 hospitals, at least at the time that I know of, that had urology on call here in town. Right. So
how's Vegas as far as medical? I mean,
we're getting better.
Do we have good medical services here?
We're getting better. I used to be for the longest time, I won't get anything done here. I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to go wherever. We're getting better.
What do you do for SWAT? Like what do you do in case they're injured or?
Well, so I have stepped down as a tactical physician. Now I'm the medical director for the department. But when we were tactical physician, when I was a tactical physician, and we do have 12, 15 volunteer physicians in the Valley that go out on an individual basis. We're teamed up with a search and rescue officer, and we're there basically on call, on scene with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and the SWAT team, particularly.
In case you find someone that needs you?
In case they make entry and somebody shoots them, we're there primarily for officers. That's our first and foremost. If an officer gets shot, we're taking care of them. And we're going to probably ride with them in the ambulance to the hospital, to the trauma center. We've got a couple of trauma physicians that actually volunteer their time. So they're going to roll right in with them and probably take them right into the OR.
Do you think that makes a massive difference having a doctor on site?
It makes a difference in a lot of things, but for the team members, there's a sense of security that, they know that the docs are there to help them, right? Our search and rescue officers are amazing. They're highly qualified. They could handle it by themselves, but this was a volunteer program started, probably 20, maybe even 30 years ago, with a legend in the emergency medicine community here, Dr. Dale Carrison. He kind of brought that in. The guy was a former FBI agent and a sheriff before he went to medical school at like 45. And then, when he came out here running the emergency room, he kind of started this program with our team. You
would think though, if a doctor was there when anything happened, you have a much better chance of survival.
Yeah.
Like with the other day, I'm sure you've heard of the Charlie Kirk shooting. So you saw the video, I'm sure, which unfortunately is unbelievable. Like, man, what a, and they let that play. And then they stopped me from saying stupid shit on social media that means nothing and there's no harm in it, but yet they banned my post, but they let that play. Yeah. It's like, so when it happened, I mean, it shot out fast. I mean, I heard about it fast. It just happened. I'm seeing the video. I can't believe it. I'm saying, oh my God, we got to post something about rest in peace. Like, this is horrendous. So I started talking about it. A couple of those videos are up to millions of views. And I initially put up something that said Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Rest in peace, prayers for his family. Dude, I got bombarded with people saying he's not dead, he's in critical condition. You're spreading lies and da. So obviously my team deleted it real quick because
for 30 seconds.
Because he wasn't officially dead. But like, if you saw the video, I said to my wife, because she's sitting there bawling, I said, there is no way, unless there is a doctor right there when it happened, like he got shot and a doctor like had a freaking gauze and was prepared for it.
Even then, because it's not the blood loss, right? It's you have to understand ballistics. That 30-06 round is a fast, heavy round. It's a hunting round.
Yeah, but how do you know it was a 30-06?
Because that's what
they say.
That's what they say. I mean, so if we're gonna assume that was the rifle and that was
it wasn't.
But that's what we have to go on.
I know, but
right?
when you see the video of him jumping down, he didn't have a rifle in his hand, which means he had to leave it up there. But he didn't. There wasn't one up there. And then he broke it down apparently and put it in the bag. The bag was loose; you could see it. Then supposedly he put it back together in the woods just to throw it away. Like, it's total bullshit.
I won't go into all that.
Whatever picture they're painting, only an idiot would believe it. Now, again, is there a big conspiracy? And I don't know, but I know that that guy isn't that guy. Well, I know that that guy is not that guy. You got eyeballs in your face. You can see that that guy is not that guy. So that's all I know. But I also know, dude, there is some seriously misaligned facts and things that make zero sense. So is it another JFK? I think so.
Let's just go to what we can tell, right? Without getting into all of the stuff that we don't know. The initial video I seen, you hear a single gunshot.
Yep.
Okay. And then you see him drop. My experience.
That's not what I see, because I got the video still. What you hear is plap, his shirt goes like this.
Well, and then he goes.
And then his neck goes bing, right. And then he goes like this. Like this. Like something hit him. Now again, if you hit the spine, what does your body do? It seizes. So again, if you ask me, I don't think the shot came from where they're saying, again, I'm not a ballistic expert, but you can see around that there's a lot of people saying the same thing I'm saying. And just common sense, I'm not a ballistic expert, but an exit wound is big. An entrance wound is small. That ain't where the bullet went in.
Well,
that's where the bullet came out.
It doesn't take.
So if it came out here, where did it come in at?
How do you know it came out there?
Because that's not an exit wound. I mean, that's not an entrance wound.
If the blood just came out of the front, that doesn't mean it's an entrance or an exit wound. It's just, so if I
how would it come out if there's no hole there?
If I poke a needle, and a large enough bore needle into your carotid artery, the blood's going to come out from where I put the needle in, and it's not going to come out from the back of it. But my point being, though, is we know that it was just one shot, right? And when I heard that shot, so from my military training, my work with the SWAT guys, my work with their sniper team, I knew that was a high-powered rifle.
Just right? Hearing the sound?
Just the sound. I was like, that was not a 223. That was a 7.62 or a larger, so that's 7.62, 308, 30-06. Those are all, hunting rifle. Could have been a 7mm. But I knew that was a hunting rifle sound. Bang. Okay. Fast projectile. When we talk about ballistics, it's the mass times the velocity squared. So the speed of the bullet is more important than the size of the bullet. What ends up happening is that you actually have a force in front of the bullet, and then that before the bullet ever hits the skin, that pushes the skin in and starts to damage tissue, and then the force behind the bullet. And in most high-power rifle instances, it's not the bullet that's doing the damage, it's the force wave that's behind the bullet that's tearing everything up. So when you hit somebody in the neck, that force wave that's coming through, that's following that bullet, will open up more of a track, right? And that you can't see, but that will just destroy that tissue. On top of it, we have fluid dynamics. So that fluid from the carotid and the jugular is going to go back up into the brain and explode vessels in the brain because of the fluid dynamics in that. And could that force also have an effect, not to sever the spinal cord, but to shock the spinal cord to also give that neurologic effect? So just understanding ballistics, when I looked at it, I was like, that looked pretty legit to me.
Are you on social media a lot?
I've seen all kinds of conspiracies, and there could be somebody up here.
But are you listening to see if you agree or disagree?
I've listened to a few people. A couple of the ones I like are former SEAL guys talking about it.
They're the ones I'm listening to, and they're saying, what happened. What
they're saying, the ones I like, is it wasn't a professional. It wasn't a professional sniper. This is somebody, if they were aiming for their head, they didn't, because that's a relatively flat shot from where that was. So it's just somebody, you've got a weapon that's been sighted in for someone else, but it 160 to 200 meters. I can hit you dead between the eyes with iron sights, not a problem, all day, every day. But I've been trained, right? You get some kid who's 22 years old, Maybe he's got some time behind a rifle because he grew up in Utah. Did he have any hunting experience? I don't know. Maybe he's got a little, right? It's not that difficult of a shot. But if he was aiming for the head, he's way off. If he's aiming for the chest, he's way off. So no professional sniper is going to aim for the neck. Just not going to be.
Assuming it hit him in the neck.
Well, we've seen the blood come out of there.
Well, then what moved his shirt first?
That's that, potentially that forward wave. Because if you got a little, like my shirt here, your t-shirt has a little, so that initial wave of the bullet and then the follow-up wave behind it, that will move. Yeah, that'll move your shirt. It's the ballistics.
Yeah, his shirt moved from over here.
It's because the wind is like from...
Well, the wind came this way.
Yeah.
It went like
right.
that.
And then...
So it went like this. How does this move?
Because there's that wave that's behind it. So when that wave comes, it kind of goes in both directions. But if there's a little drop in the shirt, that the wave can get underneath and it blows the shirt. Just like,
there's a lot of people, I call them, well, everyone calls them conspiracy theorists, meaning they want it to not be the guy. They want to be some secret, clandestine group that wanted Charlie assassinated. I'm not one of those. Like, I don't have a dog in the fight. But I can see that guy in the picture is not that guy, period. So like that guy is not that guy. That I do know. How? Look at the two pictures. They are not the same person. That's all I know. Now, some guys say they weren't professional. Well, again, I mean, if you're a professional, you can make people not think you're a professional.
Okay.
Right? Well, I mean, you could.
It's
So I mean, there's a million things that could be true, but what is true? The man was going around. He had some opinions, somewhat conservative opinions about things. He was willing to debate. He was willing to talk. And I had no idea that people disliked him that much. Like I had him on my podcast.
I had no idea he was disliked that much.
Me either. Like I had him on my podcast and like, he just believes in traditional conservative values.
Christian values.
Yeah, Christian values. Yeah. I can sense when people are racist, or I can sense when people like don't like a certain, like if you really hate the left, like people think like I'm right. Well, dude, I'm more in the middle than far right. Okay. But I do lean a little conservative. Why? It was the way I was raised, I guess. I don't know, dude. I believe in God. I believe men should pay for their families and protect them, and men should be stoic. It doesn't matter that it fucking sucks. Guess what? You're a dude. Deal with it. I'm just traditionally that way. I didn't hear anything he said that was massively offensive. I had no idea people disliked him that much. But when that happened and you start seeing people celebrating.
Mind-blowing.
I'm thinking, and by the way, I would have never guessed these people would celebrate. And I'm not talking about the blue-haired whack jobs with a million freaking piercings in their face that can't figure out if they're male or female. I'm talking about police sergeants. I'm talking about teachers at universities.
It's disgusting.
Like, dude, these people celebrating Charlie's death are teaching our children. Get out. And again, people are like, well, dude, Charlie was it. It's not about Charlie. It's not about Charlie. I had no dog in the fight. I was not a Charlie lover. At the end of the day, I am a freaking justice lover. And I don't care if it was a transgender midget that got shot. Nobody should get shot, but definitely no one should celebrate someone getting shot. And when I'm looking at it, and it's teachers.
Yeah.
There was police, there was military. It's like, my God, who is teaching our children in these public schools?
It's sad that we're this divisive, right? And why have we become this divisive? And I think it's all social media. Just the ability, to a lot of people now have a conduit to spew their opinions, whether they're right or wrong. They just spew it, right? And there's
free speech.
But it is free speech.
Oh, the Jimmy Kimmel thing.
Yeah.
You heard about that?
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? I didn't watch the news. Someone said, well, He was talking shit about Trump, saying Trump's using the Charlie Kirk thing, so they jacked his show, right? And then now you see people going, I thought free speech. Listen, free speech is not you're going to lose your job. Free speech means you're not going to get arrested.
Right. The government doesn't come after you. That's it.
Exactly. So free speech means he's allowed to say it, but his boss has also allowed him to fire him. Yeah. Because again, if I catch anybody on my teams and anywhere celebrating someone's death, publicly celebrating someone's death, they're not working for me either. Why? I don't want to be around people like that.
No.
And if dude, I hated him. I don't care if it's your enemy. You don't do that. That shows me that you're not a good person. I would never celebrate anybody's death. Dude, I wasn't a big fan of Joe Biden, not because of he's a Democrat, because he wasn't competent. And he's supposedly the absolute best option we have to run our country. No, he isn't. No, he wasn't. It's stupid. But if someone would have killed him, I would not be happy and I would not be celebrating. If Donald Trump were to get assassinated, you would see celebration
100%.
In the streets.
100%.
And it's like, dude, that's what's concerning to me.
Yes.
It's not Donald Trump that got shot that would bother me. I mean, it would bother me because anyone got shot.
I know what you're saying.
But like, dude, the celebration bothers me more. That's what scares me. People have been getting assassinated for years. There's going to be crazy people that kill people. We're not going to be able to do anything, which is why I say, be kind, be generous, love your family, enjoy your life, and be a kind individual. And hopefully nothing happens, but something might happen. Why? Because we live in the world.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's as bad as now we're living in a world where regular, normal human beings are celebrating somebody's death.
Because we're forced, and I think due to a lot of it to do with social media, we're forced to choose a side. And if you don't go far enough, I mean, you and I try to stay in the middle, right? And you put yourself out there.
I don't try to stay in the middle. I am in the middle.
But my point, is that somebody on the far right is going to attack you and somebody on the far left is going to attack you because you're not far enough over on their side. Yeah. And I think we're coming to a point where there's more and more people going, you know what, this is getting a little ridiculous. We need to, and let's leave the fringe people out there on the fringe. And just like how we came as human beings, we became a society. We do better when we're all together. So if you want to be out on the fringe and freeze and starve, go be out there. But on either side.
What's your thoughts on Jimmy Kimmel?
I listened to his, when I heard about it, I listened to it. I was like, I don't see any reason for him to be canceled. Then I started to think about it and I got a little bit more information. It's CBS, right? I think.
I don't know.
But that parent company was bought by Larry Ellers, right? And Larry Ellers, if I'm correct in it being CBS, and I may be wrong, but Larry Ellers is pretty tight with Donald Trump. And he might have just went, you know what? I don't like that he's attacking my friend and I'm going to fire him. So there's that thought. The other thought is that late night television is it's a loser. And I'm going to say it, I'm going to get probably hate mail, whatever. It's like the WNBA. It costs money. It doesn't make money. And
who wrote the joke? Was it Jimmy Kimmel's? Because again,
he just said it. Right.
So Jimmy Kimmel has had opening monologues for years. Yeah. Why the one about DJ T gets him fired? Was it insensitive? I haven't heard it.
There was nothing there outside of he's like, Trump was so basically paraphrasing. Trump was so sad about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And he even called it, I think he called it murder assassination, right? So and then he plays a clip where somebody says, a reporter asks Donald Trump, how are you doing, Mr. President, over the loss of your friend? He's like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. But look over there is the trucks and we're building the new ballroom. It was like just switch subjects. And it was almost like, so in that view of it, it looked like Trump could give a shit about Charlie Kirk and more about his ballroom. That's what it looked like. And he just brought that to light. I didn't see anything wrong with that. But it's like, and I'm not a Jimmy Kimmel fan. I think,
you think he should have lost his job?
No, personally, I don't. But I think if you're looking at this from a financial thing and you say, well, late night television is a big loser for the networks because people are finding they've got TikTok, they've got Instagram, they've got a lot of other things to do. And the late night crowd is literally dying off, right? So that was just an excuse to cut them loose, right? Just find any little thing to cut them loose and we're done. And all this information came out when they got rid of Colbert, right?
What did they get rid of him for?
I don't know, right? But he did something and they were like, okay, we're not going to renew your contract next year.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the real reason was because late night television is costing them money. They got to pay these hosts. They got to do all this stuff.
I'm putting my name in, folks, for Jimmy Kimmel's spot.
There you go.
Okay. I need a late night talk show. We'll revive the whole thing. But, I don't think he necessarily should have lost his job because he was talking about Trump. But when I started reading people going, I thought there was free speech. That shows you how ignorant people are. Free speech means you're allowed to say it and not get imprisoned by your government. So 100%. You can say whatever you like. Your government's not going to come stop you. It doesn't mean you're not going to get punched in the face. 100%. It doesn't mean you're not going to get fired. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that you're not going to get arrested. You have the right to say what you want. And I believe in free speech. You should be able to say what you want without being arrested because some countries, they don't have that. You say something about the leader, you're in jail. You say something about the government, you're in jail. Dude, that's not cool. I believe in free speech. You don't like the government, you should be able to say it. But people are confusing him being fired with free speech, just like, so
they don't understand.
Or getting punched in the face. You walk around doing racial slurs and someone punches you in the face. Well, I have free speech. Yeah. You can say whatever you want, son, and someone can smack you upside the head too. Now, it's not legal to do that, but it is legal to say what you want. So face the consequences. But I don't necessarily think he should have got fired, but I'm not pissed that he did. Why? Well, because personally, I didn't ever like him.
You and I are in the same boat.
I like Fallon out of the Jimmies.
Yeah.
But I didn't really like Kimmel. And I don't care that he didn't like Trump. I know lots of people that don't like Trump and I still like him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how this got into this, but I want to get back real quick because I know you got to go to wellness because I know that you guys do the HRT, the peptides. Yeah. What's the best peptides out right now?
It just depends on what you're trying to do. Right?
Yeah, but give me some good ones that do things for people.
So,
because I'm thinking about starting the peptides.
A lot of the good ones were taken away from compounding pharmacies by the FDA. So hopefully that changes.
Why?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So the FDA comes out with, well,
because
they've not really studied and we don't know. And it could
why'd they let them out in the first place?
Yeah, it's just all this stuff. I'm not going to be, I don't have the answer. And my thought is,
pissed, though?
But I can't do anything about it, right? So my thought is that you're going to see that it's Eli Lilly or Wyeth or somebody's going to come out with that same peptide because they've done this before.
That's exactly right.
And they've charged multitudes more than what I can get it for. And most of the quote unquote research has already been done by bro science per se, with it being out in the world for as long as it has. But if you have,
that's what bothers me. Now we're going back down the rabbit hole. First of all, Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah, so they shouldn't be together.
Why are those two together?
I don't disagree.
Okay, and then the FDA decided, it's like, who are they? Who are these people that just get to decide for all of us?
Well, you want to,
like, there's cancer medicine that is not approved that is curing cancer in other countries. There's documented factual evidence, and the FDA says, who the hell are they to determine what 350 million people get or not?
Well, I mean, I did a little research and it's simple Google, kind of FDA, where are they now? And it seems funny that the guy who was in charge of Johnson & Johnson for the FDA, when he retired, he's working for Johnson & Johnson, making 7 figures a year. Coincidentally. And the list is pretty long. And they're working for the people that they were supposed to be overseeing when they were with the FDA.
Yeah.
You don't think that there was a little, quid pro quo going on? Probably can't prove it, but
as a doctor, are you afraid to say this? Because I mean, aren't you kind of under the thumb of the medical board?
Well, I can say it because it's out there. It's written, right?
What's written?
That the person who was overseeing that. So I have no fear of saying what is because my defense is absolute truth.
Okay, so there were doctors for the COVID vaccine and there were doctors against the COVID vaccine. Which one were you?
It's nuanced because it really depended on the individual. So I had patients coming to me and asking me, should I get my kid a vaccine? I was like, I wouldn't. If it was my child, I wouldn't, because the literature doesn't support it. We know that
there was no literature,
but
the thing was blank.
What we knew was kids were very unlikely to get the disease. And if they did, that they weren't likely to suffer death from it. So it would be like a cold or a flu for children.
But then you had some older person, you said you should get it.
And then if I had an older person that also had comorbidities, right?
I wouldn't get it for nothing.
But you are healthy. Right?
Even if I wasn't healthy.
Well, then, it's
and by the way, the studies are out now. Looks like you probably shouldn't have got it. Is what they're saying.
For a lot of people, like
for everybody,
for the universities to say that young, healthy people in order to attend university need to get this, and then have every booster under the sun that was coming on, that was a travesty.
Well, let's say that was then. But now that the studies are out, they've admitted that there's problems. They're admitting everything now. The evidence is out now, and you don't see the non-vaxxers running around going ha 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 ha.
Right.
We're like, ooh, sorry about that, but the vaxxers that were shaming the non-vaxxers,
100%.
But when you have the evidence now, my question is why are these vaccination on children's vaccination schedules still? They act like that shit doesn't. They act like the evidence is not out.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not a pediatrician, so I can't really speak as well as I should know, but I'm not a pediatrician. I think they took the COVID recommendation off from the pediatrics.
I hope so.
Right?
I hope so.
So,
but again, back to this. So I was thinking, peptides. I hear. So what are the ones that you supposedly heard are good? The BPC 157.
That's one I can't get anymore because they took it away.
That means it's the good one.
But it is very effective.
What did it do?
But so the replacement is something called pentadecaarginate. It's one amino acid different than BPC 157, and then TB 500, both for inflammation. And here's why they're really miraculous. Because if you take a steroid or an NSAID like an ibuprofen, yes, it decreases inflammation, but it also downregulates the healing of the tissue that's injured. So you're actually, by reducing the inflammation, you're actually making that tissue more prone to further injury. This has been proven. We know this now. The peptides decrease inflammation, but they also upregulate growth hormone receptors so the tissue will heal better. So now you're getting decreased inflammation, and so you're reducing the pain, improving your mobility, and you're promoting tissue healing.
Well, why don't people just take HGH?
Why don't people just take HGH? Great question. First off, it's federally regulated. So the federal government...
Doctor can prescribe it.
For what reasons?
Well, because you determined that I need it.
So the federal... This is unique because the federal government has it in the 1988 Tax Stamp Act, where they took all steroids to include growth hormone, which is not a steroid, and they banned them. Why? Because Ben Johnson, a Canadian, got popped in the Olympics and cheated, and our government did what it does when it thinks people are cheating and makes government recommendations for medicine, which the FDA told them not to do, the AMA told them not to do, and I believe the DEA
told who not to do what?
Congress, right?
Told them not to do what?
So don't fuck with medicine because you don't know what you're doing, right? And they went, wow, we're the elected officials, we're going to do this. And they did. And then eventually they pulled the steroids out of this Tax Stamp Act, but growth hormone was left in it.
Why?
And so
Because it works.
I don't have the answers to that.
I'll bet you it's because it works. That's why the BPC thing is the pull that one. Why? Because that one's the one that works.
Right. But they pulled it from compounding pharmacies. It was very tricky in how they did it.
What is a compounding pharmacy?
Compounding pharmacy is a pharmacy that makes things that aren't available in your commercial pharmacy. So either they make it at different doses or different delivery systems.
Well, then they're probably just going to have workarounds here pretty quick.
They took that away from the compounding pharmacies, but they didn't ban it in particular. That's what makes me think that it's going to come out from somebody else.
It has to.
But coming back to growth hormone, it's only legally allowed for a physician to prescribe it for 3 conditions, basically: pediatric growth hormone deficiency, HIV/AIDS wasting, and adult onset growth hormone deficiency. So I've prescribed it for HIV/AIDS wasting because I've had a couple of those patients over the years. And I've prescribed it for adult onset growth hormone deficiency, which is a condition that you have to prove. And that we do a provocative test in the office to prove that somebody has growth hormone deficiency. Are there doctors prescribing growth hormone for anti-aging? Yes. Are they breaking the law? Absolutely. I have the DEA memorandum that says, if doctors are prescribing it for this, it's.
What would happen to them?
You can be arrested. So you get new jewelry connected at the wrists and the ankles and at the waist, fined, imprisonment, loss of your medical license.
What would? That's what you can. What will?
It really depends.
Like, are they doing it? I know a lot of people that their doctors prescribe them HGH.
Yeah. I'm not one of them. I prescribe it only if there's a growth hormone deficiency and I prove it.
Well, because you work with law enforcement, number one. Number two, anybody that thinks that it's illegal that still does it, I wouldn't want to go to that doctor anyway.
Right. And, it's that. And I grew up a poor white kid. I don't want to go back there. Right. No. I've worked hard to get where I'm at, and I'm not going to throw my license away for something I know is wrong. Right. And to that point, I would only prescribe it if somebody needed it.
So how do you get the release of growth hormone?
So
naturally,
sleep.
Proper sleep.
First and foremost. As we age, though, our brain is very, very cool in how it does it. And this is one that's uncool, but it starts to produce something called somatostatin, which is an anti-growth hormone. So it inhibits your growth hormone production.
I wonder why. See, there's probably a reason for that.
There may be, right? But
maybe because we're not designed to live forever.
Right. We're not designed to live as long as we are right now with the advent of medicine. Right. So we can improve hormones by either giving the hormone or stimulating the body to produce the hormone. So a simple hack, if your sleep's good and your exercise is good, so higher intensity exercise can improve growth hormone. Another easy thing to do, take sufficient amount of arginine or L-citrulline, because that inhibits the inhibitor. So you're putting the brakes on the brake. So you're going to allow your body to produce a little bit more growth hormone, So
what's it do? What's the growth hormone do for the body?
So I think it's a misnomer. I think they named it wrong. They named growth hormone for what it does for children. It helps them grow axial height, right? What does growth hormone do for us, for you and I? Recovery and repair hormone. That's what it should be called. Recovery and repair hormone. As far when we think about,
if you take it and you're not destroying your muscle tissue with the workout, does it do anything for you?
I mean, you're always breaking down, right? So it helps the body recover and repair, but you're going to get more of a benefit from exercise. One of the other things that it does when it comes to fat cells is it encourages the breakdown of fat and discourages the accumulation of fat. And so that's one of the things that I really notice is without having to be super specific on diet, right? My exercise is dialed in, but I eat what I want for the most part. My body fat percentage stays around 10%.
Hey, in 2014, it says here, the Nevada Athletic Commission came after you over the UFC testosterone controversy. What happened there?
They didn't come after me. There was an article that was kind of going back and forth. There's a doctor that's on the boxing commission board who's an orthopedic surgeon that knows about as much as hormone replacement as this bottle of water I'm drinking, but yet started making, comments that were not supported in the medical literature. At the time, they were allowing for therapeutic use. meaning the athletes could see a physician. And a lot of them were actually doing it underground per se. And when they came to me or other doctors and were getting prescribed therapeutic use, then the boxing commission was using the endocrine guidelines for testosterone levels and saying, well, it shouldn't be over 700. I'm like, these endocrine guidelines are for somebody 65 years old. So they were like, oh, and then they wanted to follow one guideline, shouldn't be over 700. Well, the guideline also says you shouldn't test before 7 days after the injection, but you don't want to follow that guideline. So you're going to let them do an injection, test them the next day and go, oh, it's too high. See, if you're going to choose the guidelines and follow all the guidelines, but they didn't want to do that. So eventually what it ended up, at the end of the day, they just kind of got rid of the therapeutic use. In the interim, they kind of came out with a thing. Well, the only people that can do the therapeutic use are an endocrinologist, a urologist, a family medicine, internal medicine. Well, I was an emergency medicine guy. And so they left that out in particular. I was like, okay, so now you as the board are going to try to tell someone how to practice medicine. You don't have that power. You think you do. And I let it be known that if you guys go forward this, it's going to be a lawsuit. It'll just be that simple. And that's when they went, all right, we're just going to get rid of the TRT. And that doctor still sits on the board and, hopefully he's learned a little something, but I always thought he was underqualified to be there because really it should, if any physician should have been on that board, it should be an emergency medicine physician because you're able to understand all trauma. All this guy understands is bones and joints. Well, what about head injuries? That's not a part of an orthopedic surgeon, but head trauma is something that we see in the emergency room. We know how to deal with that. We know how to deal with all of this stuff.
You have a bone in your head?
Yeah, but orthopedic surgeons don't mess with that bone in your head called the skull.
You also have a joint in your head.
Yeah, your mandible.
Immovable.
Well, you mean the sutures in your skull?
The immovable joint that hardens when you're a child.
Those are your sutures.
Oh, is that called
That's what
sutures?
they're called. Yeah. So
remember when I said I was going to be a doctor?
Yeah.
The people like, you don't have a joint in your head. Yep, the immovable joint.
Yeah. Well,
that's what they used to call it.
And actually, because I'm an osteopathic physician, those are movable.
Are they?
Yeah.
They're smashable too, from what I hear.
Well, that's a little different, right? But yeah.
So this question my team puts together, the anti-aging industry gets called snake oil all the time. How do you handle that the mainstream medicine says what you're doing is bullshit? Now, see,
that's true.
I never knew that.
I've had that accusation all the time. And I just think, what it boils down to personally, I just think it's jealousy because
do they not know, or do they want to actually do what they're tried to do with on the UFC? It's like, to me, it's like, dude, there's got to be science behind this shit. So if somebody gets an injection and they study and they're like, holy shit, it worked. And then the other medicines go, nah, that's bullshit. You only tested 5 people. Okay, well then go test 50 people. But at the end of the day, when you get down to it, isn't there science that says it's either true or fucking false? Mm-hmm. So why are all these doctors and I've never heard once that the anti-aging industry is snake oil.
Yeah. I mean, so when I first went into it, remember, I started doing this. Let's see, I was a student member of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine in 1999. And then stayed with them for a while. And back then, 2003 is when the information on the Women's Health Initiative came out and basically said giving women hormones increases their risk for heart attack, stroke, and breast cancer, which was all bullshit. And people that had been doing it knew it. And we're like, so when we read the study, we looked and said, oh, they are talking about a specific age group in this Women's Health Initiative. It's not ubiquitous throughout the whole studies, but in a specific age group, there was an increased risk of heart attack and stroke. But the media blew it up. And a lot of physicians didn't want to read the study or weren't incapable of understanding the results of the study. And they let the news channel tell them or the newspaper tell them. And that has led to about 2 decades of women not being able to have hormone replacement because everybody thought first do no harm. And so if this is going to increase your risk of breast cancer, heart attack, and stroke, I'm not going to prescribe it, which was all bullshit. And that's coming out now. And it's been coming out over the last few years. Well, I had been doing it for over, almost 20 years. So for the last 15 years, I've been, people saying, oh, I went to my doctor and nurse said I'm going to get breast cancer. I'm like, your doctor's wrong. Here's the literature. Here's this. I brought it to my doctor. He looked at it and threw it in the trash can. Well, then you get to choose whether you want to go to that doctor because they're not open-minded enough to learn something.
That's what I think is going on too. It's like sometimes doctors get this God complex where they believe that whatever they learned in 1981 is still the same.
Yes, you're 100%
and it's like,
right.
Guys, if you're not continuously studying, I mean, dude, good doctors are constantly learning and looking at new things and then admitting that they were wrong. Hey, man, you know what? I used to think this. We were wrong. They used to say smoking was fine. They were wrong. It's like, people, wake up. You got to find doctors that are willing and open to look at new things. Otherwise, I would just say, don't trust the doctor just because they're a doctor, because someone had to teach that person. And if that person decided to believe whoever they learned from, doesn't necessarily make it true.
Well, there is a problem.
Especially if they're fat doctors.
like again, a fat trainer. Would you hire a fat trainer?
No, but I mean, like if you look at a doctor and because sometimes you see doctors and they're just completely unhealthy looking, way out of shape. And it's like, dude, if you're the expert, you're clearly not following anything that you're talking about.
And what's their excuse? I'm too busy. I'm too busy with patients. I can't take care of myself. That's their excuse, though.
I know, but if you weren't in shape, I probably wouldn't have had you on the show. Not because I'm a fat shamer. It's because, dude, you're full of shit, or you're not.
You don't practice what you preach.
You're not using what you're selling.
Right. You don't.
You got to use what you sell.
Belief, right? You got to believe in what you're talking about, right?
Dude, if you told me, hey, this shot will make you young forever, and I'm like, well, why don't you take it?
You know, it's a funny.
Do you do tests and all that?
Yeah, I do testosterone.
So do you just prescribe it to yourself?
No, that's illegal.
It is?
Yeah.
So you got to have another doctor.
Yeah, or my nurse practitioner.
So do you inject it subcutaneous or intramuscular?
Sub-Q every day.
Every day.
Every day.
So what you would normally do,
tiny dose.
When you do normally once a week, you just do it every day.
A little bit every day. Yeah.
Same amount, just every day. I might start doing
without peaks and valleys. Well, you're doing something different though, right? No,
I just do.
I thought you weren't doing testosterone.
I'm doing tests.
Well, only reason I say that is because I listened to you when you had the young man on here, was very passionate about improving testosterone levels naturally. And I thought you said you were going to do that because you and your wife were considering conceiving another child.
No.
Oh, I thought I heard.
He was trying to get me to do that.
Okay.
He was trying to get me
misunderstood.
to do that. But his contention is he can raise your testosterone, not to a degree of prescribing it, but he can raise someone's testosterone naturally through exercise, diet, and sleep.
Yeah.
So what he was saying is you don't need it. And I'm like, maybe I'll try that. I am doing, however, his exercise program, and it's working. It's shredding me up.
Yeah.
So his exercise is all I did. I'm still doing the TRT.
Okay.
Why? Well, I mean, I don't know, because I've been doing it, and why? I don't want to not do it, and then all of a sudden get like skinny and tired and shit. So I'm just gonna keep doing it. But I am a believer in cycling off at times.
For what?
Just because, because again, I mean, I'm a naturalist, meaning you weren't meant to get injections or you'd have a IV tube sticking out, natural IV tube. So I think I will supplement, I will do the TRT, but don't you think your body might just need a rest for a couple of months every once in a while?
I'll put it to you like this. When you were 20 years old, when did your testicles shut off for every couple months, every once in a while?
They didn't.
Okay.
But it was also producing natural testosterone. I wasn't producing synthetic bullshit.
But so when you take testosterone, it's the same molecular structure. It's testosterone.
It's not testosterone.
It is testosterone.
It's synthetic.
It is. Your body synthesizes it. It's the same molecular structure.
So if I got pure human created testosterone and this shit that they put
testosterone cypinate.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same outside of the fact that the testosterone cypinate has the cypinate moiety placed on it to improve the half-life of it. So without it, and it's just straight testosterone in a bottle, it's called testosterone suspension. But you'd have to inject every day, and most people aren't willing to inject every day.
I would. Do you do suspension?
You can't get it anymore.
Oh, because it works.
Well, testosterone works too, but they got rid of the testosterone suspension. You can do a transdermal testosterone cream, which is essentially, yes.
Pellets?
Yeah, pellets work. And all that is testosterone without anything added to it, but it's compressed into this pellet that's designed to release roughly 6 milligrams per 100 milligram pellet per day.
Why don't you just do that?
Because I don't have anybody to put them in me, number one, or I could have my nurse practitioner do it. And I have done them. I didn't like it personally, right? So I prefer the sub-Q daily injections. I've done cream, I've done oral. I like oral testosterone, works really good.
My wife likes oral testosterone.
Yeah.
No, just joking.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
So listen, I'm going to have you back. He'll be my local doctor we can debate shit with.
Yeah.
So whenever I need doctors and debaters, I'm going to bring you in. How can people reach out to you? At Ageless Forever LV?
At Ageless Forever LV, or you can go to our website, agelessforever.net.
Can you do telemed? So if somebody, because I got listeners everywhere, can you help people in all states or just here?
I'm licensed here in Arizona, so I keep it there. But I have patients coming in from around the world. So when they fly in and see me initially, then I'll start their care and take care of things. Then you can help them. Yeah.
Yeah. So folks, if you guys want,
take a weekend to Vegas.
Yeah. If you want the good doctor to take a look, get a killer blood panel, fly into Vegas, throw some dice, go out and see Dr. Pierce, and then frickin' come on back, drop by, say hello to old BL. And, my recommendation for everybody is listen, especially if you're entrepreneurs, especially if you're in the game of success, man, you got enough stress. You need the energy. You need to be in shape. I don't believe you need a 6-pack, even though I'm getting them. I don't think you need them to be successful, but I do think you need energy. I think you need focus. And I think, your wellness and longevity is massively important. If you're older and you need some testosterone, in your body, like, dude, I would say go out and get your blood work and see if it's right for you. Just because it works for someone doesn't mean it'll work for you.
100%.
But you're going to need someone that actually cares and studies, and that's Mr. Dr. John Pierce.
Lastly, when you talk about your entrepreneurs and people out there, what are you working for? You're working, you don't want to just work and retire. And, a lot of these people within 5-10 years after retiring, they're dead, right? So they work so hard. You're working to take care of yourself, take care of your family, financially, take care of your health, because there's no dollars.
There you have it, folks. I'm gonna end it on that. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, brother.
Folks, as always, till next time, keep it real.